Hi, I'm Dr. Thomas Armstrong, and I'm making a series of short videos to introduce my new book, The Power of Neurodiversity: Unleashing the Advantages of Your Neurodivergent Brain. This is a completely revised and updated second edition of a book that I originally wrote in 2010. The topic of today's video is positive role models with ADHD. In an earlier video, I talked about my concept of positive niche construction for neurodivergent individuals, creating environments, both inner and outer environments, so that you can be who you are with your strengths and at the same time minimize the deficits or the disabilities or the challenges that you face. And I have 8 components to positive niche construction, so you can look for that earlier video. One of the components relates to what I call in the book exemplars, but I think a better word for that is positive role models. And I think it's really important for neurodivergent individuals to be aware of positive role models around them who have done great things and have also had your condition, your divergency. And that really sends a message that if they can do it, so can I. So in this video, I want to talk about positive role models for ADHD. And I'll be talking about other neurodivergent types and role models for them in future videos. The first person that I think is a really good role model for ADHD and neurodiversity is Steven Spielberg, the great director. And, amazing director who filmed Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan and just so many films. Even his early films, Duel, for example, which is just about a car chase. It's about a truck driver playing mind games with a guy who's on his way to a workshop or something like that. And the whole movie is just mind games. It shows a lot of creativity. He didn't have much money, but he made the most of it. Anyway, his mother used to help him fulfill his dream of being a filmmaker. And he would put on these little, 15 millimeter or whatever the millimeter was, films as a teen. And his mother would help him. She would, for example, if he was doing a bloody scene, she'd help him put ketchup on the kitchen counters and cupboards to represent blood. So she was really behind him all the way. Simone Biles, Olympic gold medalist in gymnastics. What happened was hackers released her medical records in 2016, indicating that she took ADHD medication. So she was basically outed as a neurodivergent person. And yet she had her stresses and had to take a bit of a time off to be good to herself. She handled it really well, telling, her audience that, people like me are human too and have to be kind to ourselves. At any rate, she's been a strong advocate for awareness and acceptance of ADHD, saying that it's nothing to be ashamed of, and in fact has given rise to her incredible talents. Another great athlete is Michael Phelps, who has won 23 gold medals in the Olympics in swimming. He was diagnosed ADHD at the age of 9, so he's been dealing with it most of his life. And he says that he channeled his hyperactivity into his swimming, which is a really, really, I think, important point. And that is that hyperactivity is energy, and energy needs somewhere to go. And if it has a channel, some creative channel, some way of sublimating that energy, instead of being frustrated and banging your head against the wall, you have a chance to do something constructive with it. And that's what Michael Phelps did with his hyperactivity and his swimming. And like Simone Biles, he's used his platform to advocate for ADHD acceptance. Richard Branson is another ADHD role model. Since launching Virgin Records in 1973, he's gone on to build Virgin Group, which holds more than 200 companies in more than 30 countries and is worth over $5 billion. He's really dealt with dyslexia perhaps a little bit more than ADHD. And he's pointed out that these conditions have helped him in his work. He has a restlessness which he transforms into creative energy. And he doesn't get bogged down in the details, but he likes to see the big picture, and he gets people to help him with the small details. Justin Timberlake is another person, role model with ADHD. He's a singer, songwriter, actor, record producer, and dancer, selling over 117 million records worldwide. And his awards include 10 Grammy Awards, 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, 3 Brit Awards. And he says that ADHD has been challenging for him during his life, but his medication and therapy has helped him. He also deals with OCD, but you can see in all the things that he's done, clearly he's been able to take that energy and that restlessness and transform it into a career, a very enriching career. Howie Mandel is another what I call hyperactive hero. He's a comedian, television personality, actor, and producer. He's been a judge on NBC's America's Got Talent since 2010. He's been a game show host on Deal or No Deal. And he says that his ADHD is part of what makes him unique and contributes to his creativity and his ability to connect with others. He notes that his ADHD brain thrives on stimulation and that his interest in various topics allow him to connect with people from all walks of life. James Carville is another good example in the political field of someone who, definitely shows the signs of ADHD. Whenever you see him in an interview, he's really comes alive, and probably was a task to deal with in classrooms when he was a child. He's a political consultant, author, and occasional actor. For example, if you've seen the documentary The War Room, famous documentary that talks about the work that he did to elect Bill Clinton president twice. And at any rate, he's continued his consulting in politics, and I didn't know this, in at least 23 nations abroad. He was diagnosed with ADHD when he was in his late 50s. He went to be checked at the urging of his wife, Mary Madeline, who's a Republican and he's a Democrat. And she said that he couldn't sit still or pay attention. Of course, we know that, anybody who's seen him give an interview. And he says that, quote, "I've been fortunate enough that I have a structure around me that I have built over a period of time to deal with it." I think he may be talking about creating a positive niche for himself. I'd have to know a little bit more about his life to see what elements went into this structure. But he definitely is a clear example of someone. You don't see a lot of people in politics come out as ADHD, and I think it's probably because they think it's going to get in trouble, get them in trouble with their political careers. But that doesn't bother James Carville. Jim Carrey, actor, won 2 Golden Globe Awards, star of films like Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Liar Liar. I liked him in the Francis Ford Coppola movie, Peggy Sue Got Married. This was early in his career, and he really stuck out. I mean, everybody else was kind of doing their acting and so on, and he was just unloose on the big screen, and he parlayed that into a great career. He was diagnosed with ADHD as a child. He said he was always a restless child, and he shared that in school he would finish his assignments quickly and then start disrupting the other kids. So clearly he's disrupted us, but in an entertainment way, in a way that brings comedy and stimulation to the viewer. Michael Jordan has also indicated that he has ADHD. This guy has had 15 seasons as an NBA basketball star, including 6 NBA basketball championships with the Chicago Bulls. And, at one time he was considered the greatest, possibly the greatest basketball player of all time. And he's credited with popularizing basketball around the world in the 80s and 90s. He's also credited his ADHD for giving him certain advantages on the basketball court, such as hyperfocus. His ability to hyperfocus during games allows him to stay intensely focused on the ball and his opponents. Another gift is his impulsivity, which leads sometimes to risky plays, but it gives him the courage to take daring shots. And his creativity. ADHD sometimes leads to increased creativity, which Jordan expressed through his innovative and unpredictable basketball moves. Ryan Gosling is another ADHD positive role model. He's a 3-time Academy Award nominee, Golden Globe Award winner. Some of his films include La La Land, Lars and the Real Girl, and Blue Valentine, which I really enjoyed. And he says his ADHD is challenging, but it's a source of creativity and energy for him. And he was diagnosed as a child. Terry Bradshaw, another hyperactive hero, NFL football player, 14 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 4 Super Bowl titles. He's worked more currently as a television sports analyst, as an actor, and I didn't know this. He's a recording artist. He's made several country music albums, and clearly that ability to do all these different things is fueled by his ADHD personality. Finally, Jamie Oliver, celebrity chef from Britain. He made it on made himself a star on the TV show The Naked Chef, and you can see him making some dish at a hotel where he achieved fame, and you can just see in this picture that he's being active, that he's using his ADHD energy in a way that will nourish people. I wanted to include this picture of Albert Einstein because some people have put Albert Einstein in this Hall of Fame of ADHD heroes. And I want to be maybe a little bit skeptical because we don't know, if he was ADHD, because ADHD didn't even exist in the time that he lived. We can make inferences. And if we were to infer from some of his behaviors, for example, the fact that he would sometimes forget to put socks on when going to work, or that he would display other characteristics of the absent-minded professor, classic symptoms, he would possibly, I'd be willing to go as far as to say that he had the inattentive variety of ADHD. He wasn't wildly hyperactive, even though he's kind of doing that here, a little bit of impulsivity. But I think we really can't know for sure whether these historical figures, Leonardo da Vinci is another good example of someone that many people thought had ADHD. I'm actually about to read a biography of Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. So I'm going to be looking for clues indicating whether or not he was ADHD. He may have had dyslexia. I just finished reading some of his notebooks, including his incredible diagrams for inventions. And he did, in fact, write backwards. And people have a lot of theories about this, but it's possible that he was just an incredible 3D thinker, which many dyslexics are, and he was able to kind of see the language in both directions. At any rate, that's a little bit about some of the positive role models who have or been diagnosed with ADHD. And you can see that knowing about these individuals can be strengthening for somebody who's been diagnosed. So, the thing that about ADHD that always gets me is that it has 3 negatives. Attention is neutral, but attention deficit is a negative. Hyperactivity is a negative, and disorder is a negative. And to be diagnosed with this deficit disorder can be like, teens talk about, he dissed me, he disrespected me. Well, we're dissing people when we lay on a label like ADHD. I know a lot of people find a lot of comfort in ADHD, so I want to grant that. But I want to suggest that there certainly should be more focus on the strengths, talents, and abilities of people with ADHD. And by learning about the lives of individuals who've done great things with ADHD, people with ADHD can become emboldened and feel their self-esteem rise and help them achieve great things in life themselves. If you're interested in getting more information about my work, I have a blog that I contribute to regularly. And if you want to get on my blog sign-up sheet, go to my website, which is www.institute4learning.com. That's institute4learning.com. And go to my my homepage or my blog page, and just put your email in, and you'll receive my 200-item neurodiversity strengths checklist, which is a strength-based assessment that is also in my book. And I created it so that a person can take a test or an assessment and find out all the things that they're good at instead of what they're not good at, which is what most tests seem to do, especially for neurodivergent people. So anyway, I want to thank you for listening, for watching, and I hope that the information has been useful to you. I hope that you can take this information. I hope you get the book and share it with your friends and family and teachers and therapists and bosses and employees, and that the word goes out that people who are a little bit different doesn't make them less than, it makes them greater than, because they have different ways of doing the same thing that so-called normal people do less well. So at any rate, good luck on helping people who are neurodivergent reach their full potential. I appreciate your attention. Thank you and goodbye.